Welcome to the Rob Liefeld Show featuring Robservations. I bring over 40 years experience in comic books and entertainment across 5 decades. I offer insights and opinions on the business and the art of comic books and pop culture. If it's happening in games, in movies, in streaming, or comic books, we're covering it right here on the Robservations Show. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Rob Liefeld Show featuring Robservations. Thank you for listening us to wherever you find our channel, whether it's on YouTube or Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean. We appreciate each and every listen that you give to this show. Thank you for the great word of mouth. Thank you for the great vibes. My name is Rob Liefeld. I am the host. This is about the comic books, pop culture that I have experienced in my lifetime. We have been walking for several years. The journey from my childhood, falling in love with comics, becoming completely obsessed with them, consuming them to no end, spending every quarter, dime, nickel back when they were quarters and dimes and nickels, because I'm old. I've seen a lot, done a lot, been in this business 40 years, over 5 decades, written, produced, created, drawn, inked, published, and yes, even gone and had a hand in printing these books. It is just the joy of my life and the just great pleasure of my existence that I get to make and create comic books. And when I am not on this show talking to you, I am all over social media. Check me out real quick. I am on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Robert Liefeld, RobertLiefeld. Robert Liefeld, that's really me. I'm the one reading your mentions, your replies. We're going to talk about some of your replies today. I read your DMs, all of your comments. Appreciate it so much. We really are going to talk about some of X as it pertains to I think of Balky every time pertains as it pertains to the subject that we're going to discuss today at great length. I am all over Instagram. I am at Rob Liefeld, visual diary, more pictures and words than maybe X, but I am at Rob Liefeld. Another blue check tells you that really me. Reading again your comments, your replies, your DMs, your messages. Thank you so much for all the interaction that you give me over there. We have a Facebook group called Rob Liefeld, Marvel, Extreme, and Beyond. Each and every episode of this show gets its own dedicated post that is created for you guys to comment on each and every episode. In depth, we have great, rousing talks about the business, original art, comic books, pop culture. We have great art contests, incredible talents, and we would love for you to join us over on Facebook with Rob Liefeld. Marvel, Extreme, and Beyond is the group. Beyond that, we'll kick some of the other tires of the socials that I'm on later in the episode. But today is our Fantastic Four episode. I figured, why not? I have been reading all about myself and what I thought about this movie, and it really has become the cultural, especially in the comic book world, pop culture world, the hot potato of the summer. I'm not sure it was meant to be, but it is certainly what it has ended up as being for 3 straight weeks. All of the major Hollywood trades, that's Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, The Wrap, the big podcast, The Town, The Big Picture, Sean McNulty's The Wake Up, one of my favorites. So many of the bloggers, of the writers, the Substackers, Scott Mendelson, his excellent box office coverage. I think he and Sean McNulty are the 2 tops in terms of box office analysts. I've said before, I subscribe to a whole lot of newsletters, and I love to cultivate all the data. I love data. Data is very important to me because data tells the truth. And in my own industry, in my own business, I've had to go by the data. The data is what drives me. And with 3 kids, they have helped me become more aware of the data over all the years that I have been doing this and been working in this business. And they've kept things fresh for me, maybe when I needed a refresher. But all of the shows, all of the trades, are obsessed each and every weekend with the box office returns, and so much of the strategy that went into Fantastic Four is worth its own section of this podcast, which we're going to get to right after I give you my review. We're going to talk about the marketing of this movie, the very strong reactions that this movie has created, and we're just going to kind of cover as much of the Fantastic Four movie as we possibly can as we head into this all Fantastic Four movie episode. I figured you should hear it in my own words. I keep hearing people parse my tweets, and has anybody addressed the fact that, yes, Elon, we call the platform X. We've all complied. I call it X, but we tweet. We are still doing tweets. I'm not putting X's. It's tweets, but I've read so much and had my own opinions shaped. I was going to do a Fantastic Four episode during San Diego Comic-Con. I could not get away to see the movie because the show was so busy for me. Then I saw it right when I got back after San Diego, and I just felt like it wasn't something I wanted to fully embrace on an entire episode. But now I feel like this is something that people can't stop talking about. It is something that as of today, it is still burning up my feed. People positioning for the movie, people positioning against the movie, dunking on, dunking against. It is not stopped in the 2.5 weeks since the movie launched. Let me tell you something about the Fantastic Four real quick. If you are a longtime listener of the show, we've been doing this for about 5.5 years now. I have dedicated dozens of episodes focused on or including a hefty portion talking about the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four as a comic book series is second to, as far as Marvel goes, in terms of what I have amassed in my collection and then money that I've invested. I always talk about, I've got millions invested in the X-Men between art and comics and toys. The Fantastic Four is number 2, right behind that. I have more Fantastic Four comics than I even have the Avengers, because right when the Fantastic Four got more interesting to me in the 80s because of John Byrne's 5-year run, I bought the Avengers, but I barely read them. The Avengers of Roger Stern, Al Milgrom, John Buscema, Tom Palmer, Greg LaRocque, Bob Hall, that era that defined the Avengers from like 1981 to 1986, 87 was just of no interest to me whatsoever. And then in the 90s, I literally let the Avengers go, as many of you did, which is why somebody like myself was called back in to do the Avengers and relaunch it and give it its best-selling Avengers. Of course, I'm going to give that plug. Of course I am. It was kept from me for so long. I didn't know for 10 years that I had longer. I didn't know for almost 20 years that my Avengers was the best-selling Avengers of all time. Kind of a little feather in your cap if you can get it. I didn't get it, so now I never stop talking about it. But with the Fantastic Four, I go back all the way. I have some early issues. I don't have any Avengers like issues 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I really have a couple of the early Avengers. I have an Avengers number 1 signed by Stan Lee. It's a 5.5 graded slabbed. I love it. But there is the midsection of the Avengers that I have in reprints, but I don't have the actual Avengers comics. Whereas that Fantastic Four, I have amassed most of, if not entirely, the Stan Lee Jack Kirby number 1 to 101, 102 issues that they did together before then John Romita Sr. came in, and then eventually John Buscema. I have a more complete run of the Fantastic Four. I am very intimately aware of these characters. I have loved these characters for most of my life. I have watched 3 different Fantastic Four cartoon iterations in my lifetime. The Herbie the Robot Fantastic Four NBC cartoon was what my generation grew up on. That came out when I was 11. I was absorbing that literally on Saturday mornings, eating my cereal. We're going to get more into cereal in a minute, but Herbie and there not having been any Human Torch, I've done an entire episode on that on this show in Robservations. Go back to my back catalog, whether it's on Spotify or in Apple, wherever, and you can find many of these Fantastic Four themed episodes. The John Byrne run, that there's 2 John Byrne runs. There's one late 70s run with Marv Wolfman where he introduces a new herald called Terrax. Then in a spectacular Galactus themed story where Galactus battles another incredible Marvel villain called the Sphinx. John did a really wonderful run on that book alongside George Perez. They were tag teaming with different writers and different great storylines. But John Byrne comes on post X-Men and takes us on a 5-year journey of which, looking back as I did in the last couple of days, and I would encourage you, go to the newsprint versions of these comics if you possibly can, and I say that only if you bought them originally, because if you bought them originally, reconnecting with the newsprint versions, not the, I've got all the trades, I've got omnibuses, I've got all the different trade paperbacks. Fantastic Four is my most represented after the X-Men comic book series because it is magic. There is a reason that supposedly Marvel, after purchasing Fox, was so intent on making this movie. They wanted to celebrate the genius of this run. It is the most rocket-fueled run in the history of Marvel Comics. The Black Panther, the Inhumans, Silver Surfer Galactus. You've got Wyatt Wingfoot, great supporting characters. You've got Annihilus. You've got Doctor Doom. You've got the Mole Man. You've got Diablo. You've got the Frightful Four, the Wizard. So many incredible, but just Wakanda and Black Panther alone, Silver Surfer. I mean, you could just any other series would be happy to just have those two as part of their incredible catalog. But the Fantastic Four is pure magic. It represents some of the best work Jack Kirby has ever done. Jack will tell you, and I lean towards Jack's side on this, that so much of the Fantastic Four is a reflection of his imagination with Stan coming alongside of him. I believe Jack was the force that was driving it. I believe Stan did do some great scripting over incredible stories that Jack created. Jack's portfolio, just before you want to argue with me, contains all of his incredible Thor run, Avengers, his initial X-Men, Captain America, which predates Marvel Comics with Joe Simon. Jack has the more impressive, diverse portfolio, because then you jump to DC, you get OMAC, Commandy, the New Gods, Forever People, Mr. Miracle. Then he comes back, he does Devil Dinosaur, Machine Man, The Eternals. Jack is an idea factory. What Stan has is Spider-Man. What Stan has that I believe is uniquely more reflective of Stan than anything else, although he has to share that with Steve Ditko, who for the first 30-plus issues was defining that book. But when it comes to Jack, the Fantastic Four is the most special stuff that they had ever done. So like you, I was excited. Marvel is going to step up, and they are going to deliver this incredible vision of this very special family of characters that I love. I have toys, I have action figures, I have statues, I have multiple iterations, giant Galactus toys. If at the end I remember, I'll go run out. I'll put some of those up in the show and tell format here for the video audience. I'll try and word picture them as best I possibly can. But for these reasons, I was as excited as you. And when San Diego Comic-Con was over, I saw much of the press that they had done, and we're going to try and touch on that press tour. These press tours, that since around Endgame, they have been as expensive as anything I've ever seen any studios engage in. I mean, Marvel now routinely travels the globe in the biggest possible fashion with these extravagant, and they don't even show the entire movie. They just show maybe a certain amount of minutes. But there's multiple red carpets, multiple stylists, multiple managers, makeup artists, publicists, interviews, junkets, all across the world as they sell these movies. And they did that with Fantastic Four, and I think it is crucial to the biggest positive element that came out of this movie, which was the launch of this movie. But like many of you, I was excited. I'm getting distracted. Here's one of my Fantastic Four busts. I'm holding it up. I think this is a Bowen. Look at this. I always love this because this looks more like Jack Kirby than anything I'd ever seen in regards to a figurine, a statue, an action figure. Holding this up really, really close so you guys can all see this mini bust with the Thing smoking the cigar in his hand. It's just fantastic. Again, I've got stuff like this all over the house. I love the Fantastic Four. I still love the Fantastic Four. This movie didn't dent my love for them. But I was ready. I was ready to go, and I really believed, given the positioning that Marvel did and much of the messaging, that this one was the special movie that they had that would blow us away. I really felt like the swagger that they put forth. The weekend Deadpool Wolverine was opening was during last year's San Diego Comic Con, and they brought the cast in and showed them, and they had to get back and film, or they showed some initial footage from London with the cast where they were filming. So it just felt like they had swagger, they had confidence. So my wife and I, who goes and sees a lot of these movies with me, we went to see a 5 o'clock IMAX in one of the nicest theaters here in Orange County. And here's the deal. I know the managers of most all of these different theaters because I've had different screenings at many of the different theaters around here over the course of Deadpool 1, 2, and 3. I've held them at different theaters. So when you do that, you do get to know the management and the all the people that work at the theaters. And it was in July of 2024 that I went to book the Deadpool Wolverine screening that I was going to host in this exact same IMAX theater. And I thought the day was getting away from me that July, and I wanted to get about 3 weeks ahead of it because Wolverine and Deadpool Wolverine was coming out at the end of July. And I remember going there around 6 o'clock in the evening, and I was swarmed. I was in a sea of kids. I was waist deep. Kids, families, the concession stand, the lobby. It was packed, and this is due to the Inside Out. Is that what it's called? The Disney movie about all the emotions living inside. And then there was another one of the kid movies, and there were just movies playing. And the theater's packed. These I mean, they were doing crazy business. The manager says, "We expect this kind of business when Deadpool Wolverine comes out. We expect this not to." He goes, "All of our showings are booking up." He goes, "These movies that are out right now," I think it is Inside Out too, and I think Minions. These were the movies, and maybe Twisters with the sequel had just come out. Place is packed, crazy business. It's summertime. It's supposed to be packed. It's July. It's not. This is the kids have all day off. People take time off to be with their kids, be with their families, do vacations, do staycations. The moms have a dedicated babysitter service when they get to take their kids or hoist their kids on another mom who's going to take 3 different families worth of kids to see movies. We all know how this works. We've been those families. We've been those kids. So when my wife and I, in whatever the Monday after Fantastic Four opened, which is what is it? Third weekend in July. When we went on a Tuesday, and Discount Tuesday is supposed to drive more people into the theater. Theater was empty. Our theater, our IMAX specific theater, the lobby, the whole place was empty. And I showed these pictures because I was in shock. I was in shock at how few people were seeing this. My family, we saw F1 on a Tuesday just like this with Brad Pitt. We didn't see it on a weekend. Packed theater. My wife and I saw Jurassic World on a Thursday. Packed theater. We have not been seeing, as older people, we can, avoid the opening night and still sit in a packed theater when we go to the movies, especially in the IMAX films, which is the premium formats. And every theater will tell you that the premium formats are what is keeping their business afloat. I'm hitting all these buttons because these apply to each and every movie, not just the Fantastic Four. So when we went and saw the Fantastic Four, I was a little shocked. Nonetheless, strapped in, I put these photos on, and I got a lot of aggression. I don't want to say attacked. Attacked means like I've got some, wounds. It's the internet. It's internet aggression was brought about by me showing this because I was literally shocked. It's a Discount Tuesday where more families show up than ever, and you're going to say, but they don't show up in the IMAXs. That doesn't matter. The lobbies were not busy. The following day, just FYI, Wednesday, I popped my head back in. Popped my head back in a couple of different theaters. All other theaters had more people in them than these empty screenings for the Fantastic Four, which is one of the reasons why the business of the Fantastic Four has come under scrutiny. What happened? But as to the movie itself, as to the art and the craft of the movie, let me start by saying here at the 19-minute mark, there was greatness at hand. They had greatness in the palm of their hands as I show you my open hand. They had greatness. The cast is great. I love Pedro, Vanessa Kirby, everybody. I thought the cast that they assembled was one of the strengths of the film. They were fantastic in their portrayals. They could only portray what was on in the script. If it ain't on the script, it ain't on the screen. You know, you're gonna see interviews with guys like Josh Brolin, who said I didn't sign on to make the movie until I read the script, and then I saw the Zach Krager script. This is Josh talking to Weapons, and I signed on. It was great. If it's not on the page, it's not on the screen. You can't conjure something onto the screen that isn't already on the page. The script is, I think, the big failing of this movie, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But the cast did no wrong. They delivered. Vanessa Kirby stepped into the role of Sue Richards / Sue Storm, and in doing so, she embodied the best parts of the John Byrne era, because it was John Byrne who wanted to empower her as Jean Grey had been empowered under his run on the X-Men. If you're a comic book historian, you know of what I speak. Sue wasn't quite the damsel in distress, but Reed and Ben were out front and center pretty much in every storyline. Sue was very much more of a passive, sometimes victim-styled character. In the 70s iterations of the Fantastic Four comics, go and read and check those out. She was, maybe falling in love with Prince Namor. I've done an entire deep dive on the Fantastic Four, kind of the 1974, 1975 Fantastic Four run when I first came into contact with these characters. And she was very lost. She was absent. After she gives birth to Franklin in the comics, they actually get Medusa from the Inhumans to come aboard and to be part of the team in Sue's absence as she is raising Franklin. Sue had never been more strong, powerful, and assumed a mantleship that you would call leader than under the pen of John Byrne, who definitely powered her up and wanted to show how formidable her force shield powers could be. And mission accomplished, as she became the premier badass in the Fantastic Four via his run during 1981 to 1986. The guy just crushed it. He just absolutely crushed it. She became, I think, just the most powerful, strong, empowered version of Sue ever. So I love that Vanessa Kirby, to me, seemed to be embodying the John Byrne iteration that really stood fandom on its head. I think John was like, the Thing has already had his time to shine. Reed is great. I'm gonna show off what a genius Reed is, but when it comes to the heart and the soul and the leadership and the gusto of the team, it's gonna be Sue, and that's how Byrne portrayed her, and that's how she is in the movie. And I thought Vanessa Kirby did a great job. I thought she had an incredible lift. She was given a lot of material and a lot of weight, and she carried it. She carried the movie. She has some great moments, some great speeches. I think the script, let me back off. So the opening 15 minutes, I think this may be one of the top Marvel movies ever. I love the futuristic. I love the futuristic design, the design of the movie, all of this way that this version of the Fantastic Four world looked was 1,000% on point. It was as advertised. It looked somewhere between I love Brad Bird's Tomorrowland movie. I know it's a controversial take. He did it after his Mission Impossible breakout with George Clooney. I love that design. I loved how it leaned into the Disney kind of future tech. This seemed to borrow some of that future tech. I really loved and was carried away with it. The first 15 minutes, it was definitely as prominent a character in the movie as any other actor was in this opening 15 to 20 minutes. Julia Garner as the Herald did not bother me one bit. I thought she was great, actually. I thought she worked. I've actually never fully commented on her. I didn't know how they were going to pull her off. I thought her special effects looked better than what would ultimately be the fate of Galactus in the third act, where I think the special effects are dodgy, and he doesn't. Man, I just don't think they pulled Galactus off to fruition, not in the way that they should have. I thought that the Herald, because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't ever remember them calling her the Silver Surfer. I think that was purposeful. I thought that was very smart. But Julia Garner as the Herald, when she arrives and she brings her foreboding message of Galactus, that entire speech she gives, I think, is stiff and maybe poorly written. I think some of the dialogue in the film sometimes is in fact cheesy. But the threat is there, and when they go up into space to confront Galactus, is the best version of Galactus that we get in his ship, his giant drill that he lives in, and when he first kind of emerges from the shadows, his lights go on, and you see the great outer design. Fantastic. Really thought we were in for something special. Didn't mind. Is it Ralph Ineson? I didn't come prepared with a cast list. The guy that they picked to portray him, I love his work. He's particularly creepy in The Witch, the Eggers film, and so when he was first announced as being Galactus, I thought this is going to be great. So in that second act, when they are in space, which is a people compared this section in advance. They compared it to Interstellar. I would suggest not doing that. It is nothing reflecting Interstellar or the brilliance of Chris Nolan whatsoever on any level, in any way, shape, or form. It's a nice detour in the second act, and trying to get out of there, and them all using their smarts together and outmaneuvering the surfer. That was fun. The giving birth scene elicited laughter in my audience of 10 in this IMAX theater. And particularly when her pants go flying by. When I don't know if you see it, but Sue Storm's pants go, because she's about to give birth, and they do it tastefully off screen, and then they have a baby. It's just a wild. It's a wild section of the script that I think takes some people out of the movie, and I think maybe I propose that if you put the movie under a microscope and under the examination, the autopsy table, it may be one of the reasons that the movie loses its rewatchability with people. I know it did not. It didn't go over, I think, in the way it felt more comedic and more so weird. But I'm going to echo when they land, when they get back, when they safely arrive back on Earth. I am going to echo Sean Fennessy of The Big Picture, a podcast I listen to religiously. I love Amanda and Sean, and I love some of their very deep dives and their some of their admittedly polarizing takes on film and movies. And they have a high-mindedness that I definitely appreciate. I was a cinephile. I saw 5 movies, a week in my 20s. I DVD, HBO, going to the theaters with my buddies. I consume them. But they both question this section as in and this is where the script starts to fail everybody. The decision to make the pivot in the story that the Fantastic Four addresses the media and addresses the public and tells the public, we met with Galactus, he wanted our baby, and we said no. Sean Fennessy said, he may be the worst PR person in the history of PR. We're all sitting there thinking it, and we're all saying, why? Why did you need to share that piece of information? Because if you really were the smartest person in the Marvel Universe, and this is my biggest bone of contention with the movie, that and aspects of the thing. I think Johnny Storm and Sue Richards are the strength of the film ultimately in terms of their characters and the things that they're given to, the things that they are given to do. Sue much more so than Johnny. But Reed, and telling everybody that we bartered with Galactus and told him he bartered with us and we didn't give him our child. Why would you put that pressure on yourself? You've already got a devourer of worlds, someone who has targeted your planet, who you have watched in space. You were shown as we were how Galactus devours planets. It's something he's certainly capable of. It's not a hollow threat. It's a dire threat. And you've come back and told people there was a solution, but you denied it, and which is in fact telling the world, none of you are as important as our baby. wrong message to send, puts tremendous weight on them as characters. And you're like, well, that's the movie that was written right. And I take umbrage with it. I believe that there was other better turns in the story, decisions to be made. Reed, by that point, is already acting overwhelmed. The Reed Richards that I grew up with in the comics, because after we saw Fantastic Four, my wife and I went and got ice cream. And as we are sitting outside of the ice cream joint on the bench, and she says, so tell me Reed Richards in the comics, what's his story? Joy has never read a Fantastic Four comic. Why would she? So she's now interested in what is the story of Reed Richards? I said, Joy, what if I told you he's the most brilliant mind in the Marvel Universe? And certainly before the MCU and Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Tony Stark leveled him up per the screenplays, Tony Stark was brilliant, but not on the level of Reed Richards, not in the comic books, not even close. Reed was creating portals to other universes. He was traversing dimensions. And ultimately, as we all know, when we read the original Galactus story, he created the ultimate nullifier, the weapon that terrified Galactus, that got him to back off, call a truce, but threaten that he'd be back again, that they'd only bought themselves some time. This is the genius of Reed Richards. And the only time in the movie that I believe that the Reed Richards of this Fantastic Four movie embodies the Reed Richards that I love my entire life was when Sue is, and I'm telling you, every husband out there, you've related to this. My wife wanted it she wanted me to build each of our kids' cribs, and I did. It's almost like I'm carrying this baby, dude, so you can make the crib, you can construct the unit that they will sleep in. I built all three, Luke, Chase, Olivia. I built them, and I knew that the expectation for me to build them was non-negotiable. So Sue, when she wanders by and she sees that Herbie's making the crib, and then kind of brings it up to Reed, I got to tell you, that was super relatable for me, but I loved Reed's response. Why would I do that? Anybody can make a crib. Nobody can make this. Nobody can make these things that I'm making. And I'm like, that's the Reed Richards. That's in the opening 18 minutes. That's the Reed Richards that I grew up with. Confidence and driven to the point of, why would I bother with mundane when I am making the incredible? That is the one moment in the movie that I felt he embodied the Reed Richards of lore, of Fantastic Four #1 and beyond. This is the level of this guy's genius. From that point on, he is overwhelmed. He is completely out of sorts, and it seems like he's just got indecision. The Reed Richards of the comic books has brought Annihilus, Doctor Doom, Galactus, Blastar, fill in the blank, to their knees with his superior intellect. He is not on par. Tony Stark and Henry Pym are geniuses. Reed is next level. So from here on in, the solution with which to defeat Galactus and the overwhelmedness that Reed experiences, just to me was a little bit of a letdown. Where's the gusto? You got to save the world, dude. Now you can say, well, Robbie did come up with the multiple transporter and we're going to move the Earth solution. And that was okay, but we knew that was going to happen, because if that happens, the movie's over. If you successfully jump Earth into a different dimension and it's not here when Galactus finds it, then our movie's over. They've saved the world. So I knew that wasn't going to be something that was going to work out to satisfaction. And in fact, I had pretty much predicted that Silver Surfer would come down and wipe them all out, which is, as we all know who saw the movie, and it's been out for 3 weeks. I don't want to hear about spoilers. Silver Surfer does just that. She is seemingly fast enough to traverse the globe in moments, knocking out each and every one of these transportation portals. And so now we've set up Galactus, who is hot on her heels and coming for everybody. A buddy of mine, several buddies of mine, comic book people, have said, hey, doesn't Galactus kind of hover in the air most of the time? And I said, yeah. And he stood on top of the Baxter building constructing his devices before, but he has battled them in the streets, because in one of the great John Byrne Fantastic Four saga sagas where it took the Avengers and Doctor Strange and Fantastic Four, it took their combined might to defeat him. There's a famous splash page. Galactus falls. He falls into buildings. He falls onto the floor. And then my buddy Matt, who owns all these pages, who owns all these originals, he has the brilliant splash page that picks up after that fall, where they're all standing around a fallen Galactus. So yes, he does walk. He has walked among us, but many times, and I find it more impressive when he hovers above us, as he did in one of the great Galactus high evolutionary battles in 1976 with Gore the gorilla, kind of a golden the golden gorilla. He was kind of a King Kong size. I had a Gore aspect to Deadpool Batter Blood that I put in a couple years ago because that story really stuck with me. But Galactus and High Evolutionary do their battle in the air, like you see in Dragon Ball, like you see in like anime and manga. This settled him on the ground, obviously, when he arrives, and I just felt that given that Galactus was such a big deal, I just felt like there was no room to make him anything less than spectacular looking. And when I go to Avatar, and let me not do James Cameron, because I find his special effects are always impeccable, and it's one of the reasons that he is who he is his work is impeccable. And you look at that special effects, and I can watch both Avatar movies, and just my mouth is on the ground at the depth of field and rendering and just the execution of the final product that we're given. It's why these movies entertain us as much as they do. Earlier this summer in Superman, James Gunn's Superman, I believe the kaiju was better fully realized. You've got a giant being and a giant being that towers over skyscrapers in both movies. The kaiju had texture. I felt it was reptilian. I felt it was fully realized. There was never any shots I thought, oh, they didn't finish that shot. This isn't fully rendered. This maybe shouldn't have gone to print without maybe another couple passes. Galactus is inconsistent to me in the third act. It's unforgivable, in my opinion. A character this great. I have shared with you my giant 4-foot Galactus toy. I may, before the show's over, grab my other one and really share with you. I have great Galactus stuff. And it didn't match. I felt there were times he looked like the texture of cake. I felt like I could take a bite out of Galactus and eat him. There were times he looked rubbery. But overall, I felt that that he just looked too cheap for this production. But the failings of the movie begin again before he arrives in the third act. It's with the script. It's with Reed Richards. It's with how overwhelmed he is. It's with the mistakes in the script to say, hey, everybody, we've put a giant target on our chest unnecessarily, unforced error number 1 through 10, because we're telling you that we wouldn't give our baby, which has now created this incredible pressure that these characters in the comics just wouldn't do. There's not a comic book that they make that big of a guffaw in, and it's a giant guffaw. And then this thing where I don't know if it's because of Man of Steel, but there's this element of, hey, let's evacuate the cities because the bad guy's coming, because we can't possibly be irresponsible like Zack Snyder was with Man of Steel. This is what I feel that they're trying to say because of all the wanton destruction and the billions and billions. Okay, Superman has them evacuating as well. It seems like a much more thorough evacuation. And in that one, there are buildings almost collapsing on cars, and Superman is struggling to save everybody. And I get the feeling that with the world opening up in the city, and that a lot of people did pass and did perish. But the Fantastic Four, they made sure that everybody got to hide with Mole Man, which just is beyond the reach of imagination. Hey, we've evacuated the city underground in a few buses. Paul Hauser, I just did not love his version of Mole Man. Mole Man in the comics is creepy, not a comedic relief. He is creepy. His Mole Man, just everything about Mole Man has always, I completely and totally dig Mole Man. Here it was, they were trading it in for more of a Paul Hauser. He's great. Hauser is great in everything I've ever seen him. He's just doing what he's told. The actors brought whatever they were told to bring, given the vision of this movie by Marvel. And I don't believe that the director, Matt Shakman, I don't believe Shakman, forgive me if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, loved WandaVision for all of the same reasons that I love the opening 20 minutes of Fantasy Four. I don't believe Marvel views him as some visionary force that they're going to listen to. I believe he had to listen to them. I believe Marvel hires people that are going to listen to them. There are not auteurs like Zach Kreger currently working for Marvel. There is not a Robert Eggers. There is these guys. Some of the most interesting auteurs are doing their own thing rather than taking marching orders from Kevin Feige and his merry band of producers that he employs. I clearly, and if you follow the evolution of this movie, anywhere from 16 to 19 minutes was cut from this movie in 6 months leading up. I know it was tested numerous times. They were trying to get that perfect score, get that perfect, snappy pace. Pacing is a lot. The third act, the big failing is using the child as bait, which is hard to watch. But so Galactus, the devourer of worlds, who has clearly devoured many worlds, this formidable cosmic force, has now come and stepped foot on our planet to claim it as his own. And he's smart enough, as you see, as he approaches the portal trap in Times Square, or this world's version of Times Square, and we see he lifts his foot up, and we see he acknowledges, I'm too smart for this. I'm too smart for this. Now, instead of swatting one of the portals, swatting them, because Silver Surfer's the Herald has already taken care of this. She's demolished all the others that they couldn't pull off the big planet heist. He leaves them be. The Galactus that I know, the Galactus that I've been promised on screen was at least going to smash one of them, rendered them not functioning. But he has to let them go untouched, because otherwise it doesn't work. Look, in a poor script, the minute I wrote this down, the minute everything falls into place because of stupid decisions by smart people who need to make those stupid decisions in order for the plot to work, then you just go, get out of here. I don't buy this. Galactus does not let those remain in order for the portal to open up and defeat him. He scans, sees the baby. I mean, it's all a trap. You are the devourer of worlds. In the comic books, you are a formidable celestial being. And you fell for the banana in the tailpipe, okay? I feel like Eddie Murphy needed to tap him on this. You're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. That's a Beverly Hills Cop reference. See it if you haven't already. Everybody who's ever seen it understands that reference immediately. I feel that the fate of Galactus is a result of him suddenly being the dumbest person in the movie, when prior to this, we are to understand he is the most formidable. We are about to jump the Earth into a different dimension to avoid him, but now this very dim-witted guy is going to, I'm too smart to step in this, but I'm not going to swat it away. You know what doesn't bother me? How powerful Sue is. That doesn't bother me at all. As I said many times, that they have enacted that exact component in the comic books. It is in the comic books that they established what a badass and how formidable she is. And here I feel the rage, and just like, when we were all growing up in the 70s and we learned that people can just get a surge of desperate strength to lift a car to save a baby. This is what Sue's doing. I get it. She is pushing Galactus, pressing on him. None of that bothers me. None of the stuff that was supposed to bother me bothered me one iota. Was not bothered by the Herald. Loved how powerful and formidable Sue was. But it is Galactus's lack of resources. Galactus also has, they powered him down from every appearance I've ever seen him in order for him to be defeated in this way. Of which, now he's going back, and there's the trap that he didn't take care of because he's not as formidable as we ever believed, and this is what does him in. Ultimately, when Reed Richards engages him, and so now some nit and picks here. In the comic books, Reed Richards stretches like a mofo. This dude stretches 30, 40, 50 feet. I've seen it in all manner of comic books that I have been reading. I did, I think, a second year episode on this show about the greatest battles or the greatest action comics I grew up with. And Fantastic Four number 200, where Reed battles Doctor Doom, is the most violent confrontation that they've ever had. And Reed is stretching miles around him the entire time. Another chapter in that book, he is fighting the Red Ghost, of course, of which we are all aware that John Malkovich's portrayal of the Red Ghost was left on the cutting room floor. One of those mysterious things we didn't get to see. Reed being pulled 15 feet and screaming, and maybe 20 feet max, and starting to peel as if he is one of the Stretch Armstrong toys of my youth. Everybody my age had a Stretch Armstrong. All the boys, I'd go to any of my buddies' houses, even my buddies who weren't into genre stuff, they were given a Stretch Armstrong. It was a fun toy. Maybe the entire family shared it, but you stretched it, and what we all did was we wanted to stretch it because it had sap in it. It had like this sappy material that allowed it to reform and be reused. We all wanted to break it until the sap came out. Okay, that's what happens when you get to be 12 and 13, and your Stretch Armstrong no longer holds sway over you. And so me and my buddies would go into the backyard. I remember Nathan Doney. We got that thing to rip and bleed sap, the brown sap sauce. Okay, I'm like, wait, Reed's a Stretch Armstrong now? Reed gets pulled apart like my Stretch Armstrong toy? The least elastic Mr. Fantastic on film. We can all celebrate the fact that this Fantastic Four is the best Fantastic Four that they put on film, which is a decidedly low bar given the previous Fantastic Four films. And this Reed is the least elastic of all of them. His few times, and Joy said, I thought he stretched a lot. She did, after I told her, and let me go back to when I said that, Joy, this is the most brilliant mind in the Marvel Universe. She goes, whoa, I didn't get that from this film. The most honest answer from a citizen you ever get, as she's eating her ice cream. Oh, I didn't get that from this film. Neither did I. Reed was overwhelmed and nowhere near the genius that came up with the ultimate nullifier that defeated Galactus in his original encounter that made that so brilliant. The Johnny recording her voice and somehow unlocking her name, cool. Gave him something to do. That's good. The guy who had nothing to do, the greatest, the member of the Fantastic Four that I grew up loving the most, my man, Ben Grimm, my man. I'm holding him up again. My man, The Thing. Okay, so The Thing is so popular that he got his own series, Marvel 2-in-1, when they were spinning off Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four, I've mentioned this on another show, they people are saying, oh, the Fantastic Four wasn't that popular. No. For a decade, most of the 70s, the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man were 1A and 1B in terms of sales for Marvel Comics. Fantastic Four had a reprint title, reprinting all their earlier Avengers that came out monthly alongside the current new Fantastic Four comics. So I got the Stan and Jack stuff 1 week from when I got the new Fantastic Four Adventures. And then The Thing had his own monthly title where he would team up with everybody. Spider-Man, the X-Men, Daredevil, the Avengers, Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, Black Panther. Marvel 2-in-1 was a must-buy top 10 comic book for me. Never missed it. And it was so much revolving around The Thing, his relationships, the love of his life, Alicia. The Thing is one of the, I guess he's the first in the tradition of the Marvel strongmen. I've covered this on my X-Men episodes. One of the most interesting thing about the X-Men, and I love discussing it no matter when we get around to it. If you look at the original Giant Size X-Men, when they revamped it with Giant Size X-Men number 1, and it was the Colossus, Storm, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Sunfire, Banshee team. In all of the covers, the majority of the covers, Colossus is front and center. He's certainly front and center with his fist out running Giant Size X-Men number 1. He is front and center on many of the other comic books over the first year and a half. This is because he was following the strongman formula, and Marvel had a strongman formula. If it was the Avengers, it was Thor, or maybe Iron Man. On the Fantastic Four, it was always the Thing. Obviously, the Hulk in his own comic, but the Hulk was also on the Defenders, and every Defenders cover really, for many years, focused on the Hulk. Marvel believed, and there was a belief in all of publishing, especially that the superhero, the super strong character, the strongman character, and Colossus was designed to be the star with bright red, yellow, bluish, silver color. He was the tall, strong man of the X-Men, except Wolverine became the most popular X-Men. It flew in the face of their traditional formula. In the Avengers Defenders War, the most memorable cover, and I've covered the Avengers Defenders War in my back catalog of podcasts, is Thor and Iron Man, Thor and Hulk squaring off in the on that particular cover. The traditional strongman got a lot of run, a lot of spotlight, and a hell of a lot of action, which is what was missing from the Thing in this movie. Everything that he does that is like the most super impressive, which is knock the pillars out from the building in order to facilitate it collapsing on Galactus as he's being pushed, pulling the boat and lifting the Volkswagen or whatever car that was. That's all in the trailer. The Thing of my youth is swinging, hitting, punching, brawling, clobbering all the time. I don't understand how Korg can be done so well in the Thor movies, that Taika could pull him off a fully rock character. You all have to understand that the number one reason they put the sweater on the Thing, and we all are in agreement in this, this is not even arguable. The reason they put the sweater on him was that so the special effects would really only be the Thing's head. With Korg and Taika Waititi, they gave you the whole torso. You got the full rock figure. Okay, I don't know why this is so defeating for the FX departments in these movies, but this iteration of the Thing is sweatered up 90% of the movie. It was not the Thing that I had hoped that I would see, but I did not have any idea that this entire movie would be so low in the action realm. It definitely needed more action. This is another reason why it is having rewatchability issues. A buddy of mine took his 7 and his 10-year-old. They should have loved it. They said they were bored. Lots of people have come forth and said this movie was boring. We're going to get to some of the messaging on this movie in a minute. But for me, the cast, the premise, the design, the having the villain be Galactus, you had greatness. You had greatness. The script and the ideas, the concepts, and ultimately the limitations that they put on the characters. Johnny Storm has thrown fireballs. He has ignited people with fire. He flew and he did, Johnny Storm stuff, but Chris Evans did all of that and more in his own versions of the earlier Fox films. The Thing in this movie could have stood to be a lot more action-packed, and he wasn't. And that's the story. He wasn't. He was not. When I realized that he never punches anybody back, punches through a wall. Look, somebody goes, but he fell into Galactus and punched his face. That doesn't count. Come on, that's minuscule. That's not who the Thing was. That's not what the Thing has been my entire life. Reed failed. His powers were limited. His personality was not true to who he really should be. The Thing was limited. His powers were not true to what they certainly should be. Ditto for Johnny. But Johnny and Sue are miles ahead in terms of what they are given to do in this movie as opposed to Reed and the Thing. And I just feel like Galactus should have been perfect. Take the extra few months, release this movie in November, give us the most dazzling visual representation of Galactus you possibly can. He's that important of a character. And for me, he fell short. Maybe, here's the deal. If you loved all this stuff, great. No one's telling you not to. I'm telling you why I didn't love this movie. And I truly believe the elements to make this movie great and separate it as an all-timer were there. The director is not a terribly well established director. He doesn't have the experience of somebody like a James Gunn, who certainly knows how to swirl his camera around. One thing you cannot say about Superman is that it is not action-packed. We go to escape. Action is part of the escape. action movies ruled my childhood. There was a Rambo film, First Blood, Rambo 2, Rambo 3, that was on while I was drawing the other day. I just kept them on. I kept glancing over. What did I watch? The action sequences, the fights, the conflicts, riding away on a horse, as a helicopter is trying to shoot at you, commandering that helicopter, traversing the jungle, action, Predator, Running Man, Terminator, RoboCop, Die Hard, 1, 2, 3, Lethal Weapons, action. This movie was seriously devoid of action for a group that has been known for how great their action is. Reed was not true to his character. If you loved it, love it. No one's telling you not to. I'm telling you why I didn't love it. Why I believe the movie has... No, before I say that, before I talk about why I believe the movie stumbled overall, I believe later iterations of this film will improve on it greatly. I believe these actors are still going to be fantastic. They're all really super talented, and given a better script, and a richer story, I think they will shine even brighter. There is Vanessa Kirby isn't suddenly not going to be appealing as the strongest member of the family. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards could definitely use a better script, a better screenplay. I've seen every Pedro Pascal movie that came out this summer, and I liked them all. I liked this one the least of all because I felt like this gave him the least amount of swagger, and Reed Richards should have swagger. Reed Richards is formidable. There's an issue where Reed is battling Dr. Octopus while Sue is giving birth to one of their children. And it is a white knuckle ride, the emotion from the danger to Sue, and it does not dissuade Reed from throwing everything he has at Doc Ock. Reed is a powerful, strong presence, and I just didn't get that from this version. I feel like a movie like this, overall, every special effect should have been fantastic. I grade it B-C on the special effects. I think the Herald is one of the highlights. I think the Thing in still photography, he looks good, but overall a little snap, crackle, pop. He has some cereal. He has some Captain Crunch action going on. I didn't feel like he was made of rocks. I felt like he was made of cereal. Like I said, something with these. I don't know why they can pull it off with Korg, but they cannot get it right with the Thing. It's not for me to figure out. It's happened. This is the movie I was given. This is the movie that I saw. This is the movie that I'm carrying. So walking out of the Fantastic Four, I was terribly disappointed because I could see the greatness that was inherent in the recipes. The recipe was there. They had the seasoning. They bought the right stuff at the grocery store, but ultimately it was in parts undercooked, in parts overcooked, and we all know how that works out in the end. Marvel got out in terms of marketing and traveled the world and messaged this movie and got the stars out there, and they were all across all of the Disney network of channels, ABC, ESPN. I mean, they made sure that we saw them at every juncture. They spent a great deal of money because these are private jets. These are swanky hotels that they're put up at. Again, being part of the Fox premieres and knowing the really nice hotels that they would put us up. We were with the rest of the cast. These are not. These are some of the nicest 5-star accommodations you're going to get, and it's all around the world. They spent their money on this cast, traveling with them, getting the message out there, and it paid off in that it was front-loaded. What you keep reading, what Variety, The Wrap, Deadline, of whom I know none of these, I don't have relationships with any of these people writing these articles. They are stunned at the front-loadedness. 117 million to what was it, 38 million the next weekend to 15 million. Those are your 3 weekend. Those are giant drops because people moved on. The absolute diehards. I'm one of them. I saw it in its opening 4 days. I just didn't see it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I saw it Tuesday. Sorry, the opening 5 days. I saw it on a Tuesday. I saw it within the first 5 days of its opening. I am a diehard. If San Diego Comic-Con hadn't been going on, it would have been earlier. The fans showed up with curiosity. Many love the movie. There's no denying, because again, I have felt the aggression from these people who are disappointed that when I weighed in on this movie, it soured a lot of people because I didn't love it. I didn't even much like it. I can't imagine that I'll be watching this movie ever again. Whereas I'm going to watch Superman umpteen times because I liked the visual trip of the movie. I liked the adventures. I liked the performances. I liked. I mean, we are going to compare these movies. They came out within 2 weeks of each other. Marvel chose to open Fantastic Four 2 weeks after Superman, and there was always the possibility that Superman could be that buzzsaw. As I am recording this video, Superman is 100 million ahead domestically of the Fantastic Four, and I don't believe the Fantastic Four will close that gap. We all know that the comic book movies are not what they used to be, even though a year ago, Deadpool Wolverine, by this time, before its third weekend, had made $1 billion at the box office and went on to make $1.3 billion and posted profits of $400 million after VOD. And because the movie, again, the same costs that I'm talking about Fantastic Four traveling the world, they did that with Hugh and Ryan and Sean Levy and different people in the Deadpool Wolverine. And they stuck to the playbook, same playbook on the Fantastic Four. The diehards are going to show out. And here's the great news for Marvel. As botched as they have made this last 5 years of misfires, I'm looking at you, Marvels. I'm looking at you, Ant-Man 3. I'm looking at you, Thor 4. I'm looking at you, Eternals. I'm definitely looking at Fantastic Four. As much, they have an envious fan base that anyone in the business would want. And if the money and the costs were more balanced, they wouldn't be experiencing these write-ups and this scrutiny that they have suddenly found themselves under. Deadpool and Wolverine, they spent that same amount of money and it delivered $1.3 billion. Easily double, if not more, what this movie is going to deliver on a budget that looks the same, on an expense of marketing that looks the same. And you go, oh, you can't compare. It's a comic book movie, okay? And this is the fifth Fantastic Four movie. It's the fifth. And yes, I'm counting the Roger Corman one. It got made. I bought it on video. I watched it. It exists. That cast is in cameos all throughout this movie. I caught all of them. Because I remember, oh, that's Johnny Storm. It was great. It was great seeing them in this movie. That was one of the things that put a big smile on my face. That they finally got to strut their stuff and at least walk into a few frames of a giant Fantastic Four, Marvel-produced blockbuster. Marvel has a fan base that is going to show up to the tune of $80 million every single opening. They are going to give you a rough estimate of $80 million. You get them more curious, you get in the hundreds. You get in the 100. But there is a dedicated base that cannot be deterred, that is going to show up each and every time, say, we're back. I saw we're back 3 times this year. We're back, Captain America, not back. We're back, Thunderbolts, not back. We're back, Fantastic Four, not back, okay? Marvel has an enviable base that is going to continue to show up, come what may, support their product. The curiosity is so much they cannot not be there on opening weekend, and that is enviable. It is the envy of the industry. If Fantastic Four had been more exciting, if it had been a smarter script, if it had been more fulfilling a journey, a ride, if maybe some of the special effects were more razzle-dazzle, don't tell me about Diablo. Show me Diablo. Show me Red Ghost. You name-checked a bunch of these incredible Rogues Gallery figures, and you didn't show me any of them. And I was like, they are unique because, again, they're all Jack Kirby designs. The fan base showed up. It rallied, but the box office then immediately faltered because the repeat viewings aren't there. These movies are built on repeat viewings. Scott Mendelson, box office analyst, Sean McNulty, Matt Bellany of The Town, they will all tell you these movies are built for repeat viewings, to go back again and again and again and re-experience them, have a great time. That's what you did with Endgame. That's what you did with Deadpool Wolverine. That's what you did with Deadpool 2. These movies made $800 million. On shoestring budgets can compare to this. The first Deadpool movie is made for $55 million. The second movie is made for like $88 million. These budgets were lean. and the repeat factors were high, certainly much higher than this. You've got to have a more exciting ride. Movies now, Josh Brolin was quoted when he was speaking of weapons, and he says, "Weapons is exists. It works. I wanted to do it because it's a break from all the mundane stuff that's on streaming." I don't watch any reality television. I watch the heyday of Survivor and Amazing Race and Big Brother, but I haven't revisited them in maybe a decade. I'll be back for Survivor 50. Okay, it's going to take that a big event, but my family gets swept up. Not all of them. Some of my family gets swept up in some of these ridiculous dating shows and travel shows, and the minute one works, there's 5 more of them, and they're keeping them on our very luxurious recliners with our brilliant, beautiful, LED 4K televisions with the best systems. And occasionally there comes a period where Apple and HBO and Amazon are all putting out great stuff. It's harder than ever to get us off the couch. And if you're going to do it, take us on an incredible ride. F1 is an incredible ride. I did not believe that F1 would be Brad Pitt's biggest movie ever, but there it is, a movie about the biggest racing movie ever. Just like Maverick, Joseph Kosinski is a genius. That's a guy who knows how to sling his camera. He is an auteur. They give him hundreds of millions of dollars to enact these visions. Oblivion, Tron, Top Gun Maverick, F1. Kosinski has got the stuff. This is a guy who is visually engaged, and we go on these rides. They're giving IMAX screens back to this movie because the desire is so great to continue to foster the repeat viewings. These movies can't afford to be dull, and this one unfortunately was. And the diehards, I'm now seeing stuff that I talked about with my own friends. I'm now seeing it recorded in, it's spoken of on the Town podcast. It's spoken of on The Big Picture. It's spoken of on The Midnight Boys with Van Lathan. It's spoken of with Scott Mendelson and with Sean McNulty about the group of kids who grew up with these movies. They've grown up and out of them. They're getting married. They're having kids. They're no longer 10 years old. They're 25. This period, it's really been about 25 years since X-Men #1 really established the comic book blockbuster. Not Blade. It's a comic book movie, marketed as a vampire movie. You had to be there. But X-Men was a big budgeted super team. Like it was a risk. Multiple superhero character team for the first time ever. And we have been living in that world ever since. And the audience demands that if you're going to drag them into the theater, if you're going to get them, and if they're going to come back, it has to be entertaining on the highest level. I believe Marvel dropped the ball in this movie. It had greatness in its hands. The scrutiny of the box office is because Marvel told everybody how successful they were for a decade. So now the press is slightly enamored by the fact that they're having to work so hard to get even half of those dollars back. Listen to these podcasts that I'm talking about. Listen to these podcasts. Listen to these people who work in Hollywood, who work in the business, whose job is to scrutinize these numbers. And I talked to a couple bloggers. Here's where we're going to wrap up with all this. Some of the messaging early on, the influencers, and a couple of well-known reviewers are like, hey, Disney, you're now letting certain influencers into these screenings, and they're sharing these very positive messages. And you see on some of the slips that they were given, we encourage your positive messaging about the movie to go out after you've seen the film. So they're fostering this. It's all part of the messaging. Get the best, most positive messaging out there. And certainly the positive messaging on Fantastic Four prior to its release was the most positive messaging they've had in over a year. Certainly greater than Cap, certainly greater than Thunderbolts. I think they felt the pressure. They wanted to definitely shape this as best they possibly could heading into the opening weekend. Everyone started to say the same thing. The most visually stunning movie Marvel has ever made. The most visually stunning movie Marvel has ever made. Easily the most. I read this again and again and again to the point that I believe it was a bullet point that was shared with certain people to repeat. I talked to 2 of these people. I won't give their names away. 2 of them are prominent. One of them copped to not loving the film in his opening salvo, his opening tweet. And he did say he got some brushback. They're like, oh, that's how it's going to be? So that's how it's going to be? he didn't lavish over it as he was expected to, which did get the phone ringing, which got some, negativity, some brushback, because they want the best possible messaging. And it's now the follow-up call. Hey, why didn't you say something nicer? We gave you this incredible junket. We got you to the premiere. You got to meet the actors and talk to them. There are favors. I did talk to the editor-in-chief of one of the trades. And I said, are you being worked that hard? And he said, Rob, in all truth, I'm being worked that hard on both ends. He said, Warner Brothers and Disney are both working me on both ends at all time. The most positive messaging you possibly can. My wife asked me, are we being deceived? On some level, some of this messaging is not, it's not as sincere as it possibly could be. The new trend is that the vibes tweet gets out first. Then the reviews come, and they're counting on the fact that you're not going to read those reviews. Maybe you'll read the tomato score. But the early vibes, all the trades are waiting for the influencers to put their early vibes tweets up. And the early vibes, then they say, blew me away. So much fun. Most visual movie Marvel's ever made. It was not. It certainly was not. That's an insult to Winter Soldier. It's an insult to the original Iron Man. It's an insult to Endgame. It's an insult to it's not the most. It's got some kick-ass set design and some great performances by some game actors who came to play. Ultimately, the story, the script, the vision of this movie failed it and kept it from being what I believe all that it could be. I wanted so very much to love it. The pressure on there to pre-message these things, to set our expectations, which will then set our curiosity, which will get us out of our asses, which will deliver an opening weekend that, remember, it was said it's going to be 130 million. Then it was revised to 125, then maybe 120, then 117. Good, big number. It's a big number. With a better budgeted movie, with a more reasonable marketing account, Daily Variety said this movie cost $200 million to make, on over $100 million to market. That's $300 million that they invested. They get 50% back on the theatrical. So if it makes 400, it got 200. If it makes 500, it got 250. You can figure out the math. You're smart. This information is out there. I don't have a secret code. I know a lot of the people who write this stuff and who report on this data. It's out there for everybody. The collective response is the people who truly did love this movie are mad that it didn't do better. And as I said, in being candid in that I was not in love with this movie, I was quite frankly disappointed. And more than anything, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that this was the big play for Marvel this year, and the repeat box office just isn't there. And they were expecting that it was going to have greater legs internationally, and it has not. And I did not think that Feige would go 0 for 3 in this calendar year. I did not believe. Remember, they denied all the reshoots on Captain America 4, even though we watched them get reshot and watched the reporting. They denied that these characters in Thunderbolt weren't, the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then they shaved down and tested to the bone this version of Fantastic Four. I would have rather seen it in November, early November, give it 6 weeks before Avatar, 6 weeks before Wicked. I think we'd have a decidedly different movie. Once again, there was greatness there. That's how I will always remember the Fantastic Four. But the game is elbows and knees, man. This is big money. These are big productions. And the trades have learned that they're not going to be intimidated. They're not going to be pushed around. They're going to speak their mind. They're going to tell their truth. And what has ultimately happened is that this movie's box office has been incredibly scrutinized. Now, I was on with Mark Millar, Millar. I did an interview with him in May. On it, he asked me what I believe was going to be the biggest. He said, what are your worldwide global grosses? Place the July movies, Jurassic World, Superman, and Fantastic Four. And I said, it's going to be Jurassic World, it's going to be Superman, it's going to be Fantastic Four. At no point did I believe this movie was going to outperform Superman or Jurassic World. But a couple of the trades this week have been like, it's shocking that Jurassic World. Wait, so previous Jurassic World movies have made $1 billion. This one is going to make $800 million. To make more than $800 million, would mean the best comic book performance for a Superman movie ever times 2, then a performance for Fantastic Four that was on par with Deadpool Wolverine. That was never going to happen. Those expectations were crazy. I'm on camera, on record, Jurassic World, Superman, and Fantastic Four, and that's how it's going to break down in overall box office. Uh, the trades and the blogosphere and the podcasters and all the new media, they are going to continue to everything. Somebody said, how dare you portray this movie as not successful? The trades have said it cratered, it collapsed, um, it's plummeting. Those aren't successful words. Cratered, collapsed, plummeting are not what you associate. I gave you my review of the movie in my own words. What I loved, what I enjoyed, the positives, and where I thought it fell short. I love these characters. I love the Fantastic Four. I will continue to love the Fantastic Four, and I do believe that seeing them alongside the other existing Marvel Universe characters will be a value add. I believe there's a value add. I do believe that Avengers Doomsday is too big to fail. And based on the formula that we got in No Way Home and then Deadpool Wolverine, I think Marvel has realized they are just going to cram it. Remember when we saw the Doomsicle chairs? Doomsicle chairs for 4 hours. Channing Tatum, James Marsden, everybody. They are going to pack that. It's going to be irresistible. Irresistible. I believe it's too big to fail. I did not have them going 0-3 this year at the box office. I don't know that any of these movies will post a profit. They're now rearranging the expectations share, saying, well, 500 million is what it's going to do. But then last week it said Fantastic Four may not even make it to 490 million. But Marvel used to control the messaging from beginning to end. Now it's in the middle where it's falling off. And it's enraging people. One trade, one of the writers from the trade says what the fans really want is the appropriate box office to dunk on other people and say, see, my tastes and my choices were validated. And when I read that, I felt that is where we are living right now. They don't want mixed signals. They don't want they don't want something that is of mixed opinion. They want a clear and decisive victory, and Fantastic Four ultimately did not deliver that to them. Spider-Man is for sure going to happen. Spider-Man next year. Spider-Man is Marvel's most popular character in the history of their publication and media. That movie is going to work. Daniel Dustin Critton, I've met him. I met him before he was in comic books. I met him when he did he was making smaller movies. We both spoke at a entertainment seminar. I met him in 2016, 2017. Great guy. Love Shang-Chi. Can't wait to see him do his thing on Spider-Man. I think that movie is guaranteed to be a giant success for Sony. People also be educated. Sony owns in perpetuity as long as they make a movie and greenlight a movie immediately following the other movie. They have 5 years in between Spider-Man movies to make them. They're never not going to make them. Marvel gets what amounts to 25%, if that, for putting up 25% of the budget. But Sony owns and has final say on all of those movies. Marvel works for Sony to make those movies happen. Those are Sony movies. They will be Sony's market share, not Disney's. They will be Sony's box office, not Disney. Disney will, at the end of the day, get a portion, okay? That movie's going to be huge. That movie is absolutely, positively going to be enormous. I'm going to grab some Fantasy Four and wrap this up. Okay, for those of you listening, I am standing here, not sitting, because I'm gonna lift up a giant. Now I'm sitting. Giant. Look at this. It's a carrying case. Look at this. This is really sizable. Is this 3.5 feet? So this is from Comic-Con 2010. I'm showing the sticker. It's a giant Galactus carrying case because inside this, with the spectacular imagery scale of Galactus, okay? This was the 2010. Again, you got the holographic. You got the San Diego Comic-Con International 2010 sticker on here because this was the catch of the show. This is what. Okay, I've still got the paper on it. You can see. Oh man. This thing is just brilliant. I'm setting it down on the floor. Show you the case. Here is, oh, it weighs so much. Look, so last time I gave you the giant Galactus. I am now holding this giant Galactus, 2.5 foot, good foot smaller than the previous Galactus that I've shared with you guys. But I mean, look at this packaging. It's just, I mean, when this is twice that Hasbro has taken this giant swing, and paid off with this just brilliant, absolutely brilliant sculpting figure of Galactus. And I'll bring the other fella back. Okay. For 50 years, I was preparing for my boy. Okay, and when both of my toys are superior to your Galactus, okay, you should have given me that movie in November and maybe done a better job. Okay, we deserved it. Okay, but there were so many other failings. Look, I didn't love it. If you did, great. But I figured I should tell you guys how I felt in my own words, and now I've done it. And like I said, I've gotten a lot of aggression. A lot of people have been very very angry with me. But that's not going to be. I'm not going to be quiet. Why would I then cater my opinion because my opinion is of threat or disgust to you? That's not going to happen. We're going to agree to disagree, and we're going to move on. Hey, I've already talked about my socials. As I sign off with you today, I am on a live stream called Whatnot. You can catch me there. I have exclusives, exclusive signatures, exclusive remarks, sketches, original art. Some of the exclusives that we have, Blood Wolf, which was launched in 1993. Here is an example of a custom Blood Wolf that I made just for the live stream, where you get the line art, the original line art of my 1993 Blood Wolf story. Blood Wolf, who had the fourth wall personality of Deadpool before Deadpool. You get the colored version. Okay, you get the colored version of this, as well as the line art. Okay, this is the kind of stuff that is not in stores. This is stuff that you can only get from me online. You hear me talk about this book, Last Blood, all the time. I figured, why not show it to you? So here is Last Blood #2. Our manga editions, we do manga styled gray tones, and then we bloody them up like crazy, and we just have a fun time marketing them, calling them the manga editions. Some of you guys may have seen me share these before, and they get a little crazy. They get a little fun. This particular chapter features Prophet as well, and then we get all sorts of crazy. We change this. It's from the top to bottom. We give just a different application in terms of sound effects. The book gets relettered. It's given gray tones instead of computer colors. It's got more bloody aspects. That is Last Blood number 2 manga, and this is the #1 manga edition. And I just have the best time. I write and draw these. These are only available. They have never gone to a comic store. They've never been through the distribution chain. This is the kind of stuff that we share when I am on my live stream. And you'll see here. This is the character of Bo. And again, I'm holding up some pages which shows the gray screen textures as well as the excessive blood. I mean, I love these books. I absolutely just love making them, and we've gotten even more better and more refined at them. There is a giant size Youngblood #1 that I just released the manga edition for. You can get it at my website, robliefeldcreations.com. On Whatnot, I am Rob Liefeld, so go to my website to reserve your copy, robliefeldcreations.com. There are all manner of specialty books that are there right now for you to order. On Whatnot, we have a 5-star rating. We are super duper reliable. We have shipped 23,000 packages in 2.5 years. This is the regular edition of Last Blood, the non-manga. It comes in a color edition. I'm just trying to give you guys like a flavor of what we offer in terms of products. We really do have products that are specialty made, that are created and crafted for direct to consumer, which is what live stream is, which brings me, the creator, and the product to you directly. Hey, catch me if you can on my live stream and my website. Thank you as always. I figured if everyone's going to talk about Fantasy Four, I should talk about Fantasy Four. So that's it. That's my theory, my thoughts on the movie, on the marketing and the reception, and I'll always show up and see this. I'm one of those people that Marvel can rely on to give my first dollars. First dollars are important. First dollars determine a great deal. If they were to lose the first dollars from basically what is now the MCU zombies, it would be a completely different story and not a good one, okay? Hey, no matter when I sign off, I am reminded that we are all just human beings. Humans being, okay? Like that Van Halen song. We are humans being. And every day has its challenges, has its burdens, has, oh man, all manner of hurdles that we all have to get through. And I am just rooting for you, pulling for you. And just like you, I've got all the crazy pressures that life brings. I'm a husband. I'm a brother. I'm a father. I'm a friend. And each one of those hats requires something different each and every day. And I just hope that if the grind of life, the hamster wheel is getting you down, please feel free to step away, reboot, take time for yourself, go to the beach, go to the park, take a long walk, enjoy these long days of summer, grab an ice cream sundae, grab a milkshake, a malt, go get that pizza, that lasagna, that Indian food, that Thai food, whatever floats your boat. Have that giant Reese's Big Cup. I already had mine today. One day they'll make the Big Cup will actually make its debut here soon. I've got to write it down. I've got to remember to enter the room with the Big Cup, and then it will happen. I'm not going to eat the Big Cup on camera. Stop that. That's not going to happen. So, but whatever it is, take time for yourself. Prioritize yourself. Go see that great movie. Read that great book. Read those comic books. Read Fantastic Four comic books. Go buy Fantastic Four comic books. Acquaint yourself with the greatness that these characters are capable of. Far greater than what they achieved on film. Please take care of yourself. Take care of yourself emotionally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, whatever it takes. Just take that break. Engage with those friends, that family. Have that great time, that great, experience, that social, that interaction. Get off your phone. Go out, live some life. We are rooting here for you at the Rob Liefeld Show, featuring Robservations. 2 fist bumps into this Blue Yeti. Wishing you all the very best. Do not leave me here. I'll be there, still right out there. Pick me up. We will most certainly, absolutely, and inevitably, we are going to talk again real soon.